What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Paste Studio here in New York City. We are broadcasting to you live from the Manhattan Center here on 34th Street, as always. And with us right now is a very special guest. Joining us right now is the Reverend Shawn Amos. How's it going, man?
Good to be here. Thanks for having us, man.
Yeah, thanks to you so much for coming. Shawn has a new record out, came out in February. It's called The Reverend Shawn Amos Breaks It Down. It's the third album.
Yeah.
And we're going to hear 3 songs from this new record today.
We're going to do it for you.
Yeah, man. So this is a great blues record, and there's originals or a couple covers on it, which are also great. Tell me a little bit about what we're starting off with today.
We're going to start off, the album's really a series of freedom songs that were written in response to the times and kind of, I guess, inspired a bit by the Staple Singers, music of the 60s, and Curtis Mayfield, great tracks of the 70s, protest music, I guess, but more freedom music than protest music.
Yeah.
So the first song is a tune called 2017, about the year we just wrapped up and kind of about the year we're in too. So we'll start that off, and it sort of embodies a lot of what the spirit of the album's about.
Cool.
Cool. Listen to what I'm saying. It's time to accept the truth that the times have changed. We got to open up our hearts and brains if we want to keep inside the freedom lane. I know this ain't the best we can be. I got to think about what our children's eyes have seen in the year 2017. This is a war waged with all control. There ain't no tanks, planes, just thought control. Now open up your hearts and minds if we want to keep inside the freedom lane. Hate and fear ain't no vaccine. We got to think about what our children's eyes have seen in the year 2017. 2017. 2018. 2019.
Guys, thank you so much.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, so Shawn, tell me a little bit about this record. It's called The Reverend Shawn Amos Breaks It Down. I was reading about it. You mentioned earlier that these are essentially freedom songs in the tradition of songs that were written by the Staple Singers and the great blues artists or soul artists of the 60s and 70s. I was also reading that a lot of this record was conceived while you were on tour in the South last year, going through places like Muscle Shoals and Memphis and the capitals of that kind of music. And I was thinking, I know you're a California guy by origin.
I'm actually New York by origin.
Is that New York
I'm
by
back
origin?
home, man.
You really?
I moved to LA when I was a kid. But
all right.
I was born here, went to college here, but in between LA. I said to claim it for a second. I'm sorry.
So I was wondering. I was listening to the music, and the song 2017 is about what's going on with our country. But I was wondering as I was listening to it, like, is this a record that could have been made or conceived not being where you were? Is being in the South baked into the sound of this record?
Yeah, I to a degree, yeah. I think being in the South is what animated those thoughts in me for sure. Because I've been in the South a lot, and I'm a bit of a student of it, and I love a lot about the South. And my family's originally from the South, but being there when we were on tour in 2016, right after the election, it just felt really different being a black dude down there. I mean, just straight up, it was a different feeling than it felt like years earlier, and I couldn't shake that. And I just felt really self-aware in a way that I had not felt so self-aware before. And I was hearing conversations, whether it be in hotel lobbies or diners or wherever, that I had not heard before. And so you could just feel things changing a bit, and things that were either, I mean, nothing's fully erased, but things that were kept in the closet or things that people didn't feel so comfortable saying out loud, people are suddenly saying out loud again. And this is early in the game. I mean, it's a lot different now even. And so that was what triggered this whole thing. And I started writing about it. And so that was sort of coming in through one ear, those conversations, and through the other ear was the stuff we were hearing in the van, Staple Singers and Pete Seeger and all this sort of great protest music. And that was the conversation going on. And I just was really documenting it, not planning to make a record about it. I was just sort of letting it go through me and experiencing it and like writers do, writing about it. But I didn't necessarily think it'd be the album I would make. And then we stopped at Muscle Shoals on tour. And if you're a recording geek, you want to go by Fame Studios and see where Wilson Pickett recorded and Aretha Franklin recorded and the Stones and Allman Brothers and all this great stuff. And so we went there originally just to tour and to check it out. And they offered us the chance to record there. So again, that was just, I wasn't thinking, oh, we're starting to make a record now. It was just, wow, we get to record in Fame for a day. That's pretty fun.
Yeah.
And pulled out some songs that were actually older songs. A cover of the Bowie tune, June Genie, that's on the album. And the tune that opens up the album, Moved. But those are older tunes, those things we had sort of rehearsed because we'd been on the road. And it was really just about having a chance to record.
Yeah, was there something, I mean, when you were down at Fame, does that produce a sound in you guys or musicians in general that you're just not going to get anywhere else?
I think so, man. I mean, the combination, and Royal Studios too in Memphis where we recorded, where Al Green made all these great albums. I don't think you can help but, there's ghosts in this place. There's ghosts walking around there. And I'm singing through the mic that Wilson Pickett sang through. And it's swampy there and it's greasy, and it's a there's a vibe that you can't help but, if you are at all self-aware or in tune with your environment, it will seep into what you're doing. Yeah. It's probably a hard place to make like a Britney Spears record or something.
Yeah. Although I'm sure they'll try it, especially in Nashville these days.
Yeah. Well, that's a different story.
So cool, man. We're gonna do a couple more with the Reverend Shawn Amos off this new record. Tell me a little bit about this next one.
Let's do since we're in the South thing, let's do Come Together. So this tune was recorded at Royal Studios in Memphis, Tennessee, where Al Green made all those great records, and Willie Mitchell was his great producer and ran High Records, and his son Boo Mitchell is still alive and running the place down there. So he invited me to record, and we did this on the album with Al Green's rhythm section, the High Rhythm section. That also just did an album recently with Robert Cray. So we're gonna do our best high rhythm impersonation here, and it's a tune called "We've Got to Come Together." We got to come together, come together as one family. We got to come together, raise our voices in true harmony. Come on, Max. We got to come together, come together as one family. We got to come together, raise our voices in true harmony. Come on. I'm talking to your good old boys, rednecks, Crips, and Bloods. I'm talking to the atheists, the ones that pray to God up above. I'm talking to your gays and straights, no matter what stripes you wear. Like Dr. King, I'm sticking with love, 'cause hate's too big a burden to bear. We got to come together, voices in true harmony. Declare every woman and man free to love in the way they can. We declare both poor and rich deserving of the same defense. We remind you of his liberties, peace, happiness, tranquility. Like Dr. King, we're sticking with love, cause hate's too big a burden to bear. We got to come together, come together as one family. We got to come together, raise our voices in true harmony. Raise our voices in true harmony. Raise our voices in true harmony. Raise our voices in true harmony.
Guys, thank you so much.
Yeah.
So tell me about sort of what underpins all the music that comes out of the Reverend Shawn Amos. Like, there's a lot going on. It's all sort of under the umbrella of kind of blues and soul, but there's Curtis Mayfield in there. There's Al Green. There's some Delta stuff. Like, the harp sounds great. What was it that really kind of like got your fire burning when you were coming up? Were there particular touchstones for you?
Yeah, I mean, so my father was an agent, the William Morris Agency back in the day, and he booked all the Motown acts and Lost Soul acts. I grew up listening to James Brown and Temptations and also the classic soul, so Solomon Burke. But when I was sort of learning to love my own music, it was largely singer-songwriters. I mean, I dug Elvis Costello and Joan Armatrading and Paul Simon and all the sort of classic singer-songwriter folks, and that sort of was the road I was on, and I got really swept up in early Paste days and early Americana and Wilco and Sun Volt and Jayhawks, and that was a really big part of my early music making life, where I really identified with that whole Americana scene, and it was a side of roots music that, and that's the thread, it's authenticity and things that just are really great storytelling. Usually music that's made from wood and not from other kind of devices.
Yeah.
And so that's been a lot of it. I think for a while, honestly, I was a student of the blues and I really loved it. And I made all the pilgrimages down south and drove to Beale Street and to the Crossroads and all that stuff and read about it. And there's these great books by Peter Guralnick that I read religiously. But I didn't want to sing it or play it myself because I actually thought, frankly, it was too on the head. I thought, like everyone expects a black dude to sing blues, and I wanted to do something else. And so I made a real great effort to steer away from it, and I sang very differently, and I wrote very differently. And I realized at a certain point that I was just sort of denying myself of myself, And so after producing a lot of other people, I sort of rediscovered the blues as a player this time. And it's just, man, it saved my life, in a lot of ways. I mean, it's sort of everything I've ever loved about storytelling, everything I've ever loved about music that's very simple and basic and direct to your heart without a lot of frills. And at the same time, it's music that's born out of a heritage that I'm a part of. Yeah. So there's like this identity with it that's a lot deeper than, a Wilco song for me. I love Wilco.
Yeah, we do too. And there are a couple songs on this record. There's a Bowie cover, Gene Genie. There's the Nick Lowe. Also, Elvis Costello is known for doing it. What's so funny about Peace, Love, and Understanding. And they're kind of put into the context of the sound of this record. I mean, is that something that came together easily for you? Putting a Bowie song through the filter of recording in the South and doing kind of a bluesy record?
Yeah, I mean, part of this journey for me has been about not only discovering great old songs like staple singer songs and Memphis Mini or whatever, but it's also been about sort of discovering for myself and hopefully turning other people onto the fact that so many tunes that I grew up digging and other people dig, if you strip away all the sort of glam, glitter, electronic, electric sort of overgrowth, underneath, they're blues tunes, and so I've always had a good time trying to be like an archaeologist and dig up sort of the blues bones of songs, and so the Bowie thing, I always thought that was a Howlin' Wolf tune, and the ooh, and and he was a blues lover, as all those guys were. So that one was relatively easy to deconstruct. The Nick Lowe thing, What's So Funny About Peace, Love, and Understanding, I'd always heard that for years as a hymn. Like I always heard it in my head as a gospel hymn, and it's one of those songs. And there's lots of songs like that, that are sort of like the heart of them get a little, the heart of them get a bit obscured by the anthemic thing about it, and so that the Costello thing, da da na 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 na, and then to me, like, those lyrics are so like, just why can't we just get along, and I always heard that, just what if you sung that as a benediction, at a beautiful church service or something. So that was sort of a dream, that had been in my head for a while, finally coming to fruition in the studio. But we do a lot of that. I mean, we've got this YouTube series called Kitchen Table Blues where we have for months now been stripping, we do a version of Whip It live. That's a total, blues, funk thing, and the Bowie thing. But that's a big part of sort of this journey we're on, is sort of reminding people that, all these tunes have a lot more, earth to them than people might think.
Yeah, cool, man. So we're gonna do. We got one more song with the Reverend Shawn Amos off the new record, which is called "Breaks It Down," or the Reverend Shawn Amos Breaks It Down.
Yeah. Can I introduce the band first before
Please.
we play?
Yeah.
This is Max McVitie over here on the box. Usually the drums, but today the box.
The box with the sticks, though, which is kind of a rare confconfiguration.
Yeah, we made a deal that he wouldn't sit on it. That was
right.
We're gonna come here, but he ain't gonna sit on the box. This is Maddie J on bass, and she's gonna sing a little bit on this next song. And this is Zachary Jawbone Ross over here on guitar.
Guys, thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you. It's a tune called "Ain't Gonna Name Names."
We da do do, we do do, we da do do, we do do.
Ain't gonna name names, but the girl, she was fine.
Da do do, we do do.
I ain't gonna name names, but the girl, she was fine.
Da do do, we do do.
I got a piece of her heart, and a piece of hers is mine. I ain't gonna talk smack, but I sure would love to see you back.
Da do do, we do do.
I ain't gonna talk smack, but I sure love to see you back, honey.
Da do do, we do do.
I got a piece of your heart, and a piece of yours is mine. She got the keys to the car and a strawberry curl. She got a good strong hold of my whole wide world. I don't think I know where this thing began, but I sure do know that it ain't gonna end. I ain't gonna name names, but the girl, she was fine.
Da do do, we do do.
I got a piece of your heart, and a piece of yours is mine, all mine. She got the keys to the car and a strawberry curl. She got a good strong hold of my whole wide world. I don't think I know where this thing began, but I sure do know that it ain't gonna end. I ain't gonna name names, but the girl, she was fine.
Da do do, we do do.
I ain't gonna name names, but the girl, oh, she was fine. I got a piece of your heart, a piece of yours is mine. I got a piece of your heart, a piece of yours is mine. Oh, my, my, my. I got a piece of your heart, and a piece of yours is mine. And the Paste crowd goes wild.
Yeah, I mean, there are hundreds of people here. They're gobsmacked.
Yeah.
They don't know what to do.
Yeah,
We just don't have a
happens.
mic recording
They're blown away.
applause.
Yeah,
happens. It
We'll
often
get them.
happens.
We'll get them.
Thank you,
We'll get them revved up.
Hold back
Yeah,
the
they're all up in
Paste
the
blues
balcony.
mosh pit.
That's right. Push them back. Guys, that was 3 songs from the Reverend Shawn Amos. The new record came out in February. It's called The Reverend Shawn Amos Breaks It Down. 3rd record, I believe, right?
Third
Yeah.
in the Reverend Shawn Amos trilogy.
In the trilogy. Yeah, well, hopefully, is it a trilogy?
I don't know yet. I did a couple songs before I was called Reverend in the Americana vein.
Yeah.
And so the Reverend Shawn Amos
Lives-
insert title here theme. I'm not sure how far we can take it, but we got 3 so far.
All right, cool. Well, if you guys want to catch these guys on tour, there are a lot of dates up on ShawnAmos.com. 3 New York City shows here in the city tonight at Ginny's Supper Club, and then 2 nights, Friday and Saturday, at the Cafe Carlisle here in Manhattan.
Yeah.
So go catch these guys live, or check out ShawnAmos.com for wherever they're going to be nearest to you. So guys, thank you so much.
Thank
for
you,
coming to
man.
Paste, playing in our
Long
studio
live
for us
Paste.
today.
Long live Paste. You
Yeah,
guys
yeah,
are
guys,
doing a
thank
good
you.
thing for music.
Yeah, thank you for coming. Thank you for doing it. Come back and play for us again anytime. And congrats on the record.
Right on, man.
All right.